Andrew Zarian of the We're Live Pal YouTube show is saying that WWE, USA, and Fox want MJF. So, Ralph, let's get our crystal ball out. Let's try to predict this thing. Can we actually see MJF, one of the four pillars of AEW, leave to go to WWE?
If there's anybody I feel that is more dynamic in the sense that he'd be able to adapt to the sports entertainment side of pro wrestling, I think it's MJF. Now, can I see him saying some of the stuff that he says in AEW and being as edgy as he is and doing some of the things that he does on Twitter while he's under contract with WWE? That's where I kind of draw the line, and I'd say I don't think they're going to let him do and say certain things.
Like, he's not going to be flipping off kids at autograph signings. That's definitely not going to happen. But I do think a lot of people's worry with WWE and MJF, I think, is a little over-exaggerated. I think with people saying, oh, they're just going to release them or they're not going to use them right. If MJF were to go to WWE, I feel like his career there would be similar to AJ Styles. Is he going to be the top guy in WWE? No, but he's very consistent. His booking hasn't been terrible in his 5 years that he's been with WWE, and actually had a lengthy championship, one that matches Macho Man Randy Savage for most days consecutively as WWE champion. I could see a run like that with MJF, especially if he's a heel. A lot of the things that he does are very sports entertainment-like, and a lot of things that WWE likes to use. Is he going to be able to swear as much in his promos? No. Is he going to be able to flip off kids? No. But it's a matter of, do you think he'll be all right being maybe the number 3, number 4, number 5 guy in WWE, or the number 1 or number 2 guy in AEW? He might want to stay in AEW to be that top guy.
I could very well see him going to the WWE and being a guy that doesn't live up to the expectation that I think people may have of him, not because of any fault of his own, but just because of the way we've seen WWE use guys who have gotten to a certain level or a certain point in other promotions, and then once they come there, for whatever reason, it just doesn't work out the way that people envision it. There's been examples of guys like, let's say, like a Samoa Joe. I think a lot of people expected Samoa Joe to go from TNA being one of their top guys and going and being like, a major player in WWE. And whether that's because of injuries or because of whatever reason, he's main evented, but he's never really held major championships. I think with MJF, the big thing that he has going for himself is he's dynamic in the sense that he's got charisma. He can go in the ring. It's not like he's one of these guys that would have to really, truly change up his work or wrestling style. He can do the flippy stuff as we've seen in some of his matches, but he mostly relies on like the old school wrestling approach, like chain wrestling and things of that nature. We even saw it in his match on Dynamite with Dante Martin. The one thing that would worry me, as you point out, is can he truly be MJF? I don't want to see MJF light. I don't want to see a PG version of MJF. I want to see the MJF that we all know and love, or the guy that we love to hate, not a watered down version of MJF, which is what I'd kind of worry about.
I think, too, a lot of people worry about that he'll just end up being Miz Jr. or Miz Light or Miz, the next generation of The Miz, which, granted, The Miz has had a great career in WWE. Some might not want to agree with me on that, but I mean, how many people have had longer careers in WWE than The Miz? Another thing people worry about is MJF going to have scripted promos. There's one thing that he has that not a lot of wrestlers have: acting experience. He knows how to turn a script and sound it like his own. When we hear why they don't like scripted promos, it's not the fact that it's a scripted promo. It's the fact that the person giving the scripted promo sucks at promos to begin with and sucks at acting, that they can't turn what is written into their own words, and they try to memorize it and they just suck at it. And that's why certain guys just don't make it to where they are. You get to a point where Vince might give you a little bit more leeway, like Roman Reigns, like The Miz, like Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins to a point. Maybe they're not given word for word, or they're allowed to deviate a little bit, or whatever the case may be, or they're just good at taking the script and making it their own. So it doesn't matter if it's scripted or not. They're just good at what they do. MJF, I feel like, whether it's scripted, semi-scripted, or completely improv, can make it work. If it comes down to the money, I see it going to WWE side. If it comes to the creative side, I still think WWE has not provided enough to prove that MJF would go to WWE. But a lot can change in 2+ years. And we're already starting to see those changes happening in WWE.
Well, not only that, but a lot is going to have to happen in AEW too. Like, because they're going to have to continue to grow and ensure that they're successful. And he's not going to want to stay in a promotion where they're losing fans. They're a young company and they've had a lot of success, but at the same time, can they still capitalize on that and continue to grow on that success? And, I can't see a major name like that sticking around in a company that is going backwards. And the same could be said for WWE. It's no secret that, WWE is not at the pinnacle or the top of their success right now. I mean, financially, yes, people are going to say, oh, they've made more money. But at the same time, creatively, the way that the fans view them from the outside looking in, those types of things matter too. And if he's going to go anywhere, I'd imagine he'd want to be in a promotion that is either growing or viewed as the top promotion. And, a lot can happen in a couple of years.
Right. So. And as we've seen, if you follow even Google Trends, for example, if you want to use that as a reliable statistic, WWE has trended downward every year since 2016. Unless they could turn this thing around and get them back on the upfront, AEW is growing. Even with a hardcore fan base, they're still growing. And people could go, well, look at the viewership. They're going from 1 million to 400,000 on Rampage and this and that. And I understand it's coming from people that don't work in television. AEW is growing. The numbers are there. They're filling out arenas. They're getting the buzz. They have some pay-per-views that trend on Google Trends and they trend on Twitter and stuff like that. So people are talking about it. And they're still in their key demographic, one of the top shows on a given week. And it's just a matter of MJF in 2024, what is more important to him, the money or the creative? Even if he decides to take the money, he's so young, he could take a 5-year contract with WWE and be like, this sucks after 5 years. And I would not be surprised if Tony Khan took him back. Because we've seen people leave and go back to promotions how many times in the 30 years that we've been watching wrestling?
Yeah, some of the biggest names have gone back and forth, and there's very few, I say this all the time, there's very few people that stick with one company, their entire career.
So if you had your crystal ball, Ralph, and you were predicting in 2024, is MJF going with WWE or AEW?
I think because of the creative freedom that he's given in AEW, I think he's going to stick with AEW.
I agree. But regardless of where he ends up, whether that's WWE or AEW, MJF could be the next big megastar in pro wrestling. Click the thumbnail on the screen right now to check out our conversation on that. Subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Squared Circle Psychobabble.